They don't want you to know certain things. They never do. Because when someone rises, when someone becomes too loud, too strong, too effective, the world starts whispering. They start hiding the real story behind closed doors. But today, we're not doing whispers. We're not doing secrets. We're doing clarity, strength, and straight talk. The kind of talk that shakes the room a little. The kind that makes people lean in. Because finally, someone is saying what everyone else is too afraid to say. The truth is always simple. That's why they try so hard to complicate it. They create noise, drama, headlines, chaos, anything to distract people from what's really happening. But the people aren't stupid. They can tell when the game is rigged, when the rules are bent, when certain voices aren't allowed to be heard. And the reason is obvious. Truth scares them. Truth exposes them. Truth breaks the chains they've used for years to control how you think, how you speak, how you vote, how you live. The truth is that strength threatens weak institutions. Confidence threatens broken systems. And when someone stands tall, unafraid, refusing to bow down, refusing to apologize for being bold, refusing to play their scripted role, it sends shockwaves through the whole establishment. They panic. They scramble. They invent stories. They launch attacks. But there's one thing they always forget. People remember results. People remember who fought for them. People remember who actually delivered, not who talked pretty on television. They keep saying, don't believe what you see, don't trust what you feel, don't listen to your own eyes. But you know better. You lived the economy. You lived the borders. You lived the peace. You lived the strength. They can't rewrite your experience. They can't erase what you witnessed. They can't hide what you already know deep down. Leadership is judged by impact, not by the noise of critics. The hidden truth, the one they refuse to say out loud, is that their biggest fear isn't losing power. Their biggest fear is losing control of the people. When people stop being afraid, when they stop being manipulated, when they start thinking for themselves, everything changes. Entire empires fall when individuals wake up. And people are waking up, not in anger, but in awareness, not in confusion, but in clarity. They tried everything: attacks, investigations, smear campaigns, character assassinations. And every time they threw something, it only proved one thing. Someone out there is important enough to threaten their entire structure. You don't waste that much energy on someone irrelevant. You don't fear someone who has no influence. You don't fight someone who isn't a danger to your broken narrative. The louder their attacks, the more valuable the truth becomes. And here's the part they really hate. People talk. Families talk. Communities talk. And once truth begins to spread, you can't stop it. Not with media, not with censorship, not with propaganda. The truth has a power, undeniable, unstoppable, that no institution can silence forever. It's like a spark. Small at first, almost invisible. But give it time, give it oxygen, give it pressure, and suddenly it becomes a fire they can't put out. So yes, there is a hidden truth. A truth they tried to bury, twist, and cover. A truth they hoped you'd forget. But you didn't. You held on to it because deep inside, you recognized something real, something powerful, something that stood firm even when the world tried to crush it. That truth is rising again, stronger, clearer, louder than ever. And no matter how hard they try to hide it, suppress it, or drown it in noise, it always finds its way back. Because truth doesn't need permission. It doesn't need approval. It doesn't need the media. It only needs people, awake, aware, unafraid. And those people are everywhere now. Truth threatens weak systems, and powerful institutions try to hide it with noise and distraction. When a system is built on fragile foundations, lies, manipulation, or carefully controlled narratives, the last thing it can tolerate is honesty. Truth is like a spotlight shining into a dark room. The moment it appears, everything hiding in the shadows becomes visible. That's why weak institutions panic when truth begins to spread. They know that once people start seeing things clearly, the old tricks stop working. The fear isn't just about losing influence. It's about losing the illusion they worked so hard to maintain. They rely on confusion, on division, on constant noise to keep people from asking the questions that matter. They create drama to distract, controversy to confuse, and endless debates to exhaust the public so no one notices what's really going on beneath the surface. This is why distraction becomes their main weapon. It's simple, effective, and invisible to most people. But despite all these efforts, truth has a stubborn way of resurfacing. It shows up in lived experiences, in economic reality, in everyday struggles people can't ignore. A weak system may try to rewrite the story, but it can't erase what people feel firsthand. That's where their fear truly begins. They realize that once people connect the dots, once they recognize the gap between what they're being told and what they are actually living, the entire structure begins to crack. The noise stops working, the distractions lose their power, and people start paying attention to what was hidden all along. That moment, when awareness rises, is the greatest threat any weak institution can face. Because once the truth is seen, it can't be unseen. And once people wake up, they don't go back to sleep. People remember real results, not criticism or media narratives. In a world filled with opinions, headlines, and non-stop commentary, it becomes harder for people to know what's real and what's noise. But despite all the shouting, there's something powerful that always cuts through the confusion. Lived experience. People don't judge leadership by what someone on television says. They judge it based on what they felt in their own homes, in their wallets, in their communities. Results speak a language no critic, no pundit, no headline can overpower. When life improves, people feel it. When opportunities grow, people notice. When a nation becomes safer, stronger, and more stable, no amount of negative narrative can erase that memory. Critics can talk all day, but they can't rewrite what people experienced with their own eyes. The system relies on endless commentary to shape perception. They hope that if they say something loudly enough or repeat it enough times, people will forget what things were actually like. But the truth is, people are smarter than that. They remember when the economy felt different, when borders felt secure, when strength was visible, and when decisions actually delivered results. They don't forget stability just because someone tells them it never existed. They don't forget progress simply because a headline tries to distract them. Results create an emotional imprint, something much deeper than political noise. That imprint becomes a reference point people always return to, especially when times get harder and the contrast becomes undeniable. Critics often underestimate the power of memory. They think their attacks, debates, and dramatic narratives can erase everything. But people don't measure leadership in insults. They measure it in impact.
They don't look at what others say about someone. They look at how their own life changed under their decisions. That's why criticism eventually fades away. It's temporary, reactive, and designed to chase attention. Results, on the other hand, stay. They settle into the lives of ordinary people. A paycheck is a result. Safety is a result. Cheaper groceries, job opportunities, stronger borders, those are results. And results don't lie. When people compare what they're being told with what they actually lived, the truth becomes clear without anyone having to explain it. This is why stories fall apart. This is why narratives collapse. Because no matter how loudly critics shout, real life speaks louder. And in the